Just recently, for the first time ever, I got to go and experience my very first ever Pokemon Regionals. Participated in the VGC tournaments that they held, and it was my very first ever in-person official Pokemon event that I've ever gotten to compete in. And I just wanted to share my experiences with you, everything leading up to the regional and after. So I got to participate in the VGC tournaments. This is the team that I brought to regionals, and the team that I basically had. I had this feeling that playing Calyrex Shadow Rider at this specific regionals was going to be a good idea. Unfortunately, I did not perform very well since it was my very first regionals. I'll also be showing you my matchups, and I'll show you guys my team with the rental code so you guys could try it if you guys like. For anybody that finds this video that has ever thought of going to one, whether you're a player or not, talking about my experiences will maybe convince you into going to an official event like this, because honestly, I enjoyed myself very much going to this event. So I wanted to talk about quickly about my background as a player. So since this is my very first ever regionals for any sort of competitive game that I've ever played, in the past, I played mostly Yu-Gi-Oh and some Magic the Gathering and some Pokemon TCG, but I've always been more. I feel like I've always been more of a video game person. So I finally got to participate in the official video game tournament. I believe it was late 2015, early 2016, or something like that. That was when I first tried to get into competitive battling. It was during the times when Omega Ruby was basically at the end of its life and Pokemon Sun was about to come out. I had spent a lot of time trying to build a singles team. I had no idea whether or not it was good. I was trying to get into singles because for some reason, thought singles was like the official way of playing, because that's kind of how like the anime was, like how it always was. In the anime, you would see the characters doing one-on-ones and stuff. And of course, in the video games too, like in the stories. And so I tried getting into that way. Around the time Pokemon Sun came out, like literally on the day of its launch, I went to my local GameStop to pick up the game I pre-ordered, and for some reason my GameStop was having a local tournament. And on that day, I went in, I brought in my what was it, my 2DS. So I got to participate in the tournament that they had. It was mostly singles. There was a lot of singles players, and I placed second in the singles tournament. Shortly after Sun came out and I started playing some of the game, I basically dropped all of Pokemon because I just thought it fell off pretty hard because I wasn't enjoying Sun. So I basically stopped playing Sun halfway through. And I basically hadn't played a competitive Pokemon game since then. Fast forward a few years later, I think it was late 2021 when I had purchased a Switch. I bought Pokemon Shield, and that was basically around the time I started slowly getting back into Pokemon. Fast forward until Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which was sometime early last year. My friend and my coach, Starshot, or Gray as we like to call her, I was just basically still kind of a new shiny hunter. Like a lot of my friends and community over on my Twitch channel were convinced me to start shiny hunting, and then Gray eventually convinced me to consider trying out double battles. And whenever she was trying to convince me to start playing, I was pretty like iffy because I've always been in the past a singles player, and I thought singles was the superior way of playing. But after some convincing, she convinced me that Pokemon Double Battles has always been the official way of playing, and it's a much better way of playing because it's just more enjoyable, and I think probably more balanced. I don't know if that's a better way of putting it, or the matches are faster. I don't remember exactly how she convinced me, and she wanted to see if I could do really well on the ladder. Like at the time, I wasn't really in the mood for a competitive game. I basically had just dropped playing competitive shooters because that was my main thing for a long time. So I basically agreed to try it out, play some ladder, because I just wanted a chill game to enjoy, even if it's competitive, I guess. Eventually, I got to try ladder with the team that she let me borrow. It was, I believe, during Regulation B. I think that's what she told me. So basically, what she let me borrow was a Dondozo team. Once, eventually, I started playing a ton of ladder for a few weeks, and then at some point, I finally had hit Ultra Ball on Double Battle's ladder. Where's Calyrex at? Why does this keep happening? Calyrex just keeps disappearing. So at some points, once I hit Ultra Ball, I was like, hey, I feel like I can't progress anymore. Like, because I was hard stuck Ultra Ball for a while, and I was like, hey, I feel like I can't progress anymore with this team. Maybe it's, I don't know if it's me or if like the ladder is just getting much harder. So eventually she basically took the team and changed it up a bit more for me. So it's more like on the, maybe on the meta side of things. I had eventually got to reach Master Ball. Like, I was so proud of that. I couldn't have done it without some of her teachings. I couldn't have done it without doing some practicing on the ladder. At this point, I kind of regret not playing more on Showdown. If I didn't, I kind of regret not doing it sooner, because after a few weeks of playing VGC for the very first time, after I hit Master Ball, I was kind of like, yeah, I think I'm good for now, and I decided to, oh my god, he's gonna fall. I kind of decided to like kind of drop the game for a while, and I was like, yeah, I hit Master Ball, I'm good for now playing double battles. Like, I just dropped it for like basically up until recently. Okay, so fast forward a little bit later, I believe it was like 2 maybe 3 months ago now, somehow we got into the topic again of maybe picking the game up back up again. Like, you know, we're like halfway into Scarlet and Violet's lifespan. Basically, I started, I believe, around the time Regulation F started, or it was like halfway into it. But basically, I got back into it. I had her basically become my coach again. She had helped me build a team to play some ladder on Pokemon Violet. Built a Blood Moon or Saluna team with Farigiraf, and that's basically what I used to play ladder. When I first started trying to get back into the game, I noticed that the game felt a lot harder in my opinion, but I didn't really let that stop me. I would basically come home, hop on ladder, and just start playing a bunch and practicing. And yeah, it took me some time, honestly. Like, I feel like it took me a lot longer this time to reach Master Ball, but eventually I did. There was days also where, you know, I didn't really feel like playing on the Switch anymore, because there was a lot of times where I just would go on crazy losing streaks. So then Coach Gray suggested that I, instead of really always playing on actual ladder, to like kind of help my mindset on things, I could probably just go on Showdown and just practice on there. Because, I mean, like, yeah, Showdown is, you know, I guess kind of competitive. Like, people grinds their ranking points or whatever it is to see how high they can get on there. But at the end of the day, like, you know, you go on there to practice or to build new teams. So she suggested spending a lot more time practicing on Showdown. So I started doing that, and I started doing that a lot. Regionals was starting to come closer. I decided that after I had found out that, you know, that regionals was going to be a best of 3 type of tournament. So that was when I decided, okay, I'm not going to do best of 1 matches anymore, because that's basically how ladder worked. So going forward, I decided I was going to just, okay, so start practicing best of 3s with open team sheet. You know, since that's basically how the regionals worked, I was like, okay, I feel like it'd probably be better if I might as well just practice this way. Because if I'm going to ever continue to compete in official games, then this really just seems the only way to be practicing. So, and eventually I even got to practice in my very first online tournament with this online tournament I found on Limitless. I believe it's called the website Limitless. There's a bunch of tournaments held on there for double battles players and stuff that want to practice before events. Unfortunately, I only got to do 1 before regionals, but because I got to actually experience a tournament setting like that for the first time, it kind of helped me a bit preparing for the events. So basically, I've only really had about maybe at most like 3 months worth of practicing and experience. I wish I could have spent a lot more time practicing, but with my daily life and my job, I couldn't really practice as much as I'd like to, because I used to do graveyard shifts, and I literally a few days before regionals, I had finally gone off that shift after working it for like a year. Now that I'm basically on a normal schedule, I'll technically have time to practice more. But with the graveyard shifts, like, let me tell you, it was really, really hard to find time to come home and make time to practice, because like those shifts really drained me. It took me so long to basically learn about this, but you can basically play Showdown on your phone. And if I had have known of this a lot sooner, if I had realized how beneficial it was to be able to play Showdown on your phone, like, for a long time now, I could have been practicing at work. I could have been, if I'm away from home, or if I'm in bed, if I don't feel like doing anything, I could have been practicing, and I could have been more prepared for regionals if I had known of that, because there's times where I just don't want to sit at my desk because I'd be just so tired from work. Like, from everything from the time that I started playing VGC up until the tournament, I felt I felt okay. I felt decent. I felt my mindset on all that was that I felt confident enough to go to an event just to see how it's like, whether if I lose or not. Like I wasn't expecting to perform very well, obviously not, because it's my first official events. Honestly, like I was just very, very satisfied with just showing up and being there and getting to experience my first official event because it was honestly awesome. It was such an awesome moment in my life that I think it was basically going to regionals was basically a point in my life where I made a bunch of core memories that I'll never forget. On that topic of like preparing for regionals, I'm gonna also go ahead and explain what happened in my tournament. So as you guys can see here, I came to regionals with my Calyrex Shadow Rider team. For literally a month or two, I could not decide what team to bring because I thought a lot of people were saying that Calyrex Shadow Rider was basically a fraud, it wasn't going to be any good. I was basically juggling with a bunch of different teams the moment Regulation G started, so I had built, whenever me and Gray were like deciding on what team I could play regionals, we were like, okay, well, I've always liked Groudon. I don't know if he's any good, but I could play Groudon and take it to regionals. And I actually did kind of like it. I kind of felt like it was a good one. But at the same time, people were saying that, like, Groudon's probably not going to be all that great. And for the longest time, he wasn't really topping or doing very well. I do really like this team. I probably could have took it to regionals. But then I started doing some research and I started learning about all the different types of restricted Pokemon that would be really good in a competitive setting. I've also gotten some feedback from other people that, because I also thought about playing a Rayquaza team in tournaments and stuff like that, because Rayquaza is like my favorite legendary, probably also my favorite Pokemon ever. And these days he's probably just not as good because, like there's still some weather teams in the meta and stuff like that, or people still bring weather teams to tournaments and stuff. But Rayquaza just doesn't hit the same as it used to whenever it had a Mega Evolution, and we don't have access to that. So it's like, okay, so I don't think I would want to take that team to a tournament too, and I've already built all these teams. So eventually I decided on settling for Calyrex Shadow Rider because after some time of testing and stuff, it was the team that I had spent the most time practicing with. And it took a lot of like playtesting too to like decide on how to bring my team because I was trying different builds for the team. Like for example, I was basically experimenting with a bunch of different things. Like, is a Fairy Tera good on Calyrex Shadow, or should I keep using Focus Sash, or like what? I basically couldn't decide on the type of build because people were saying that its normal build, max special attack, max speed is good, and then I've been seeing people doing Fairy Tera with like a bulk build for Calyrex Shadow Rider, and I had almost went with that, but I had settled on Ghost Terra, Calyrex Shadow Rider with Life Orb. I decided not to go with Nasty Plot because with enough support and with a decent setup, I can just get my damage boosts from getting my kills. Astral Barrage, Protect, Draining Kiss, Expanding Force for big damage since I used Indeedee as my supporting mon, and Life Orb because I just feel like a balance of damage boost across the board was good. And since I had Draining Kiss, I kind of didn't think it would matter too much if I took a little bit of damage from using Life Orb in an attack because, there's Draining Kiss, I could just get a lot of that health back. And then I went with Raging Bolt for mons, like, for mirror matches. The Raging Bolt has an Assault Vest, so, it has good bulk. And of course, Incineroar and Urshifu is pretty standard. Wait a minute. I just realized Ogerpon is in this team. Hold on. Ogerpon should not be here. This Ogerpon's from my actually from my Groudon team. Oop, I just went on rambling for like for most of this video without realizing like why is Ogerpon here? Without realizing that. Whoops. Anyways, and then this Tornadus, right? So this Tornadus, obviously it's also good for the mirror, like, I want to be faster than my opponent's Pokemon with Tailwind. That's just, that's basically how I thought I could basically win a mirror match, or if they just happen to have a Tailwind setter on their team, I just want to make sure I have access to higher speed, and then taunts, and then, Rain Dance for Shifu, and Bleak Windstorms because it's just a good move in rain and stuff like that, and it has a chance of lowering speed. But yeah, so this is basically the team I went with. I instead of going with a bulkier Shadow Rider, I basically wanted to put everything into damage. I gave it a Ghost Terror, gave it a Life Orb, and you know I have Indeedee with for Helping Hand. The event itself was very, very, very scuffed. The moment I sat down at my first table, like players started to notice that there was some technical problems. Like they for some reason internet wasn't going through all of the tables with because we had to connect our switches onto their docks, and their docks have like I think internet or LAN cables running through all of them, and we had to play on a I think in an online server or something like that. What? So basically, once I got to my first table, for some reason the internet worked at my opponent and I's setup. My opponent and I were able to get our first match in out of our set. We did disconnect a few times during our first match, but eventually we pushed through. We managed to get it out of the way, but eventually our judges stopped us from playing because they wanted all of us to play on the internet, which we were already connected. So there shouldn't have been a problem. They should just let us finish our set. But because they made us stop, they wanted all the players to be done at the same time. They wanted everybody to be like connected, and they wanted everything to be working. So because of this, we waited at our table for 2 hours during our first match of the day. I think over 2 hours. It was probably almost 3 hours, honestly. So anyways, let me talk about my matchups. Let me go ahead and pull that up. There were supposed to be 9 rounds because there was so many technical problems. They postponed round 8 and round 9 for day 2. Unfortunately, I did not go to day 2. I didn't perform very well in my first day in the first place. So in my 7 rounds, I went 3 wins and 4 losses. Round 1, I beat my opponent who had Terrapagos 2-1. Round 2, I played against the Zacian team, who I beat 2-1. Round 3, I lost to a Miraidon player, 2-0. And let me just say, playing against that dude, I was a bit intimidated by because I got to talk to him for a bit before we started, and he was telling me that he was a very, very, very experienced competitive player for VGC, and he's told me how he's just basically performed very well in his previous tournaments. And I was like, shit, like I'm probably not gonna stand a chance against this guy, but I still, I tried not to think about it throughout my match, but I still lost because I just didn't stand a chance. This guy was playing Blood Moon Ursaluna with his Miraidon team with a Farigiraf next to it, and I don't think my team was really prepared for playing against a Trick Room team, because if I had Clefairy over Indeedee, I could have used After You on my Calyrex, but because I had really no way of playing in Trick Room or knowing how to really deal with it, I kind of just, got shit on. I got 2-0'd by this guy. Round 4, I played against the Kyurem White team. I lost to the Kyurem White team 2-0. I don't remember if this was a Trick Room team. I don't think it was, but it kind of threw me off because I wasn't really expecting to see a Kyurem White team, and I forget what it was about that team that I struggled with. But yeah, I lost to that team. I just didn't really know how to play very well against it. I forgot that Kyurem was a slow Pokemon too. That was another thing. I forgot that Kyurem White is a slow Pokemon, and I just really was not prepared for that matchup. And in round 5, I lost to a Miraidon team 2-0. Round 6, I won against another Zacian team 2-1. This dude had a really cool team. He took me to game 3. He was running mostly an all fairy team, and I really liked the theme of this team. The player was really cool and really nice. I had a really fun time playing against that guy. Round 7, my final round before I decided to drop, I played against a Calyrex Shadow Rider Mirror, which I lost 2-1. At this point in my day, I was tired. I had already felt a bit stressed out and a bit phased by the fact that I had technical problems at the start of my tournament. I went into the tournament feeling very confident and feeling pretty good. Like, I was determined to win as many matches as I possibly could. But up until that point, in my head, I was just like, okay, if I win this match, I'll go 4-3, and I'll consider going to the second day to play round 8 and 9. Because if I were to lose this match, I just didn't feel like it was going to be worth it, because I could technically bubble higher in the standings or whatever. If I win, I'll go to day 2 and I'll play out the rest of my matches and see how it goes, just to get the experience in. But I ended up losing, so I decided to drop. I probably could have still gone to day 2 and played my round 8 and 9 matches and then gone home anyway. But at that point, I was just like, you know what? I lost this last round. I went 3-4 on the first day. Up at this point, after taking 4 losses, I probably would have dropped anyway. I feel like I lost so many times because I kept making literally the smallest mistakes, and it's mostly because of these bad habits that I had as a player. Because in the past, during Regulation F, I had a Farigiraf, and Farigiraf has Armor Tail, which blocks priority moves from your opposing Pokemon. I was so used to playing with the Farigiraf on my team. There were times where I would sometimes, I think, taunts in Psychic Terrain with Prankster taunts with my Tornadus, or I would forget Thunderclap doesn't work in Psychic Terrain, so there was times where I was just using Thunderclap at literally the worst times. I was not utilizing my priority moves very well because I would forget about these small things, or I would forget that, my opponents have a Farigiraf in their team. I saw it in the team sheet. And it didn't occur to me that if I were to bring Incineroar, there's a chance that they would bring Farigiraf in the back. And if they bring something else in the front at the start of our game, if they see my Incineroar, they could just like, oh, he's gonna fake out. I'm gonna swap out my Pokemon, bring Farigiraf in, and block the fake out with Armor Tail. So it was small things like that that really affected my performance. And because my opponents were noticing that I was making these really small and stupid mistakes, they just took full advantage of it. And that's basically how I was losing a lot of my matches. Because of these small little mistakes. I thought with all the practice I had done, I thought I had already worked on that problem I had, but I still ended up losing my matches. So that's basically what happened. Regardless of the fact that I didn't perform very well at regionals, I was still very content with my performance. I was a bit I will be honest though, I was a bit disappointed because I really wanted to do well on my first day, like really, really well. But I can't be too hard because on myself because, I'm still new at the game. That was my first time playing in a competitive setting. And of course, with all the scuffness that we all had to deal with at the event, there was really nothing I could do. Still enjoyed myself very much. I got to hang out with a bunch of friends. I got to meet a bunch of new people. Literally almost every single I don't even think I really met a like a rude person or anything like that. Everybody was just so incredibly nice. Everybody that I met, everybody at every single person that was at my tables and stuff, all the players around me, all the people that I met at regionals, everybody was incredibly nice. That's honestly all I could really ask for from an event or going somewhere and meeting a bunch of new people, because I feel like I'm a pretty introverted person. I don't really like meeting new people. I just honestly enjoyed myself a lot, like a ton. I just all I want to do now is just go to more events. I just want to compete more. I just want to just be around basically my people that just enjoy Pokemon as much as I do. Whether we're all shiny hunters or we're competitive players, or if we just enjoy Pokemon for the sake of the fact that we enjoy the story and just anything that has to do with the whole franchise itself. Honestly, I just love Pokemon so much. I've loved Pokemon since I was a baby, so just being there, I was basically just so thankful just to be there. I cannot wait to go to another event. I'm for sure going to another event as soon as I can whenever it happens. With this whole trip, like planning this whole trip, I needed to find a pet-friendly hotel that was as close to the event as possible, which I did. I did find one. I didn't have a dog sitter. I kind of ended up having to bring Riley with me. That's her name, my dog. So I went on the Poke Event website and I was looking at the rules and stuff, and I was wondering if there was a pet policy. So on the website they say they don't really allow animals in the venue and stuff like that. The day I went to go check in and pick up my like player packages and stuff, which I love, by the way. I really like the player kit that they give you for signing up to be in the tournament. They gave me this like cool playmat. They also gave me the option to choose a playmat from like previous events, and there was one that I was really tempted in getting. It was a Roaring Moon one, but I decided to get the playmat that was based on specifically for that specific regionals. So I went with that one, which was the Walking Wake one, and I still loved it regardless because, it's a cool Pokemon. And then they give you a promo card, which I loved. I later found out that it's worth $15, which is kind of nuts to think about. I don't even play TCG, and I'm just kind of slowly starting to collect cards, but that was cool, and I really love that they give you this cool badge to wear around your neck. Back to the whole topic about Riley. I had a concern that I wanted to talk to the staff about. Riley isn't really a service dog, nor does she have her paperwork, or she even like, or if she's even started with getting her paperwork. But and we wanted her to be there with us. Like, she's a small dog. She kind of looks like a Pomeranian almost. And we had a doggy stroller for her. Like, she was gonna be in a doggy stroller. She wasn't gonna be walking around or anything. Like, she would have been taken care of that way, in that sort of way. So she wouldn't have been a nuisance or anything. She did bark a few times at the event, which I'm sorry to anybody that watches this video that kind of like got startled by my dog. But it's because, Riley's got, gets anxiety and stuff from like being around a bunch of people, because she normally isn't normally around a lot of people like that. She's never normally in a setting, like, we live in a very quiet area, and most of the time she's at home anyway. So I talked to the staff that we needed her there with us, and I talked to one of the staff members. His name was I probably shouldn't say his name just in case, but I talked to a lead staff member about the predicament I was having, and he heard me out, and he said that everybody that was working for the event was amazing, and it is my point. Everybody that worked there, everybody was so nice. That dude was so understanding, the lead. He gave me permission to bring Riley in because of the fact that she was a small dog. She was going to be in a stroller, and she understood why we needed her there. And so he said, okay, so whenever you bring Riley in, and if they try to give you any trouble, he was like, okay, so tell them that lead so-and-so gave you permission to have her there. And then, they had metal detectors and stuff like that too at the entrance. So he seen us there, and he let us go in, and it was cool. So that was awesome. I'm really thankful for that, because how often do people make exceptions for us, like for people like us? Like, it doesn't happen very often, and he didn't have to do that, but he did, and I just appreciate that so much. So thank you to that person that let us bring our dog in, because that was very, very much appreciated. And I guess I'll talk about my hotel and expenses and stuff. So going traveling obviously is never really cheap. So I spent about almost 500 on 4 days and 3 nights at a hotel, and I mean, that's not bad, I guess. But I was there for quite some time. I just wish I had planned it a little bit better, because I had came to Los Angeles on a Thursday. But what I should have done is I should have requested off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off, instead of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because first of all, I had thought Friday was going to be when the tournament starts, but it wasn't the case. I think they just had side events on the first day. So, and you had to go in and check in as a player to get your stuff, and to like basically get any information you might need for the following day. So I didn't know of this until later. Next time I go to an event like that, I'm gonna plan a bit better. I didn't really buy like souvenirs or anything like that. Honestly, when I go to things like this, like, souvenirs are cool and all. I might buy like one thing, but I kind of really didn't. I was actually gonna look for a Calyrex Shadow Rider like trading card at one of the vendors' booths. One of my buddies beat me to it, or he had went somewhere else and he found it. He found one and he gave it to me to like help me, like, so I can remember that, about this event later on in the future. Like, I have something to look back on, and I actually have something physical to like to remember the event by. You know what I mean? So like, shout out to Tessie for giving me my Calyrex Shadow Rider card. Shout out to Vatusa for gifting me that. He didn't have to. He gifted me a lot of cards. Besides like hotels expenses and gas and stuff, which my car is really good on gas. I only had to drive like 3 hours. Like, I only had to put like really not a whole lot, like less than $100 in gas. Most of my expenses went to food. I spent around maybe $1,000, like around $1,000, maybe less. I think we were being pretty budget about how we were spending our money on food and stuff, or things we needed. It's kind of hard to eat healthy or eat budget when you're traveling, because all that's really available to you is just like whatever's out to eat. Like, you had to basically get takeout or whatever. I kind of wish I had time to pack a cooler with like sodas and drinks and stuff, because that would have helped too. I have a list of things, well, not a list of things, but I have some ideas of what I need to improve on as a player. Now that I know I can practice Showdown on my phone, I swear to you guys, I'm gonna take full advantage of that going forward. I'm gonna be playing so much Showdown on my phone. Oh, and speaking of playing Showdown on my phone, I noticed my battery life on my phone is really awful. I have a Galaxy S21 that I took to the regional that I've had for a while now. I bought it brand new, but man, the battery life on that phone sucks so much ass. Like, I had it on battery saver and it was just draining my phone because I had to check on the RK9 website for my pairings and stuff, for like in between my matches and whatnot. And even just doing that was like draining my battery so much. Like, if you go to an event like this, bring battery packs fully charged just in case if you need to charge your phone. I've been having a problem with my phone. Like, for some reason, the Type C port thing hasn't been taking a wired connection. It just doesn't connect. Like, it slips out or it just doesn't take the charge. And then if it does, it's like normally it's supposed to charge really fast on a wire, but something about it's so fucked up. It doesn't charge as fast, so I had to buy a wireless charger, and that wireless charger kind of sucks because it takes forever for it to charge my phone. It takes like 4 hours or so. If you guys don't have that problem, take battery packs, charge your guys' phones. Like, it'll make a difference. If you need to practice in between your matches and stuff on Showdown and whatnot, having access to a fully charged phone goes a long way. I just wish I was able to take advantage of playing Showdown on my phone a lot sooner, like months ago. Otherwise, I feel like I could have probably performed a lot better. Okay, so things that I need to do to improve on as a player. I need to stop using priority moves in Psychic Terrain or in front of Farigiraf, or if I see they have a Farigiraf, I need to be more cautious of that if I see that on an opponent's team sheet or something like that, because they can easily just keep a Farigiraf in the back, and if you try to use a priority move, they'll block it. They'll just swap in their Pokemon in front to the back, and they'll bring Farigiraf out, or they'll bring Indeedee out. Or if they have a Quick Guard mon, they could just easily block your fake outs. Like, come on, that's just common sense. Everybody should know that. I just want to shout out my coach, Starshot or Gray, for teaching me how to play VGC in the first place, and for convincing me to go in the first place. Like, if it wasn't for Gray, I wouldn't even have gone. It wouldn't even have crossed my mind. And honestly, it really wouldn't have, because I already didn't feel like I was adequate enough to even play in a competitive setting like that just yet. But I'm really glad that I did, not just because of all the experience I gained as a player, but because of the experiences I got to like have firsthand in person. Like, she told me that I would make a bunch of friends and stuff. I mean, I didn't make too many friends. I did make some really cool connections and whatnot. But just being around so many amazing and nice people like was enough for me. As it was like, that was just honestly fulfilling, like, enough for me personally. And then just being around people, so many people that are into the same things that you are. Like, I'll cherish all those moments for the rest of my life, like being around with my friends and just being at that event. Like, it was just such an awesome experience despite all the scuffness. And some future goals for me, like, now that the tournament's over, I'm gonna probably dabble just a little bit in doubles for now. Not too much, because there's really not gonna be a whole lot of events anymore for a while. But I will still practice when I can, and I've been wanting to try out different things. Like, I don't know if I still want to continue playing Calyrex Shadow Rider as my main restricted. I might try some new ones. I also heard that there's gonna be a double restricted format, so I don't know if Calyrex Shadow Rider is gonna be still good in that sense. But going forward, I'm going to just be trying out a bunch of different things. My personal goal of mine is to someday hit rank 1 on the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet ladder. Another personal goal of mine, hitting the 1500s on Showdown. Yeah, I just want to learn as much as I can. I want to get better at team building. Gonna just compete in things as much as I can if I ever see the chance. I really enjoy playing double battles now. And that's the crazy thing too. I didn't think I ever would. But now that I've been playing it a lot, I actually do, and I just love being able to do more things that are Pokemon related, and that's kind of why I just stuck to it. Like, same thing with being a shiny hunter. I never imagined myself becoming a shiny hunter until like over a year ago, when my friends and community members convinced me to do it. Same thing with like double battles. Like, it's just once somebody convinced me to do it, and when I find out that I actually genuinely enjoy doing it, it's kind of just been sticking with me, and I'm so thankful for that. And I just appreciate it so much, because I love Pokemon with, a lot. It's like one of my most favorite things in the whole world. And I plan on continue doing this until I feel like I've reached my full potential as a player, or until I just, don't feel like doing it no more. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe for more Pokemon content. I'm sorry if I rambled on for way too long. I didn't realize I had so many thoughts about this whole event. If you'd like to share about your own personal experiences at your Los Angeles regionals or to any other event you've ever been to, please talk to me about it in the comments below or join the Discord. I would love to hear from you guys, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.